Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Team Tuesday, where we talk about teams that self-destruct. And of course, Stefania, welcome back.
Thank you, Vasco. Thank you to having me again.
Absolutely. So, Stefania, before we dive into the teams that self-destruct, let's look at what might have been potentially a book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master.
Yes, Vasco. So it's really difficult to me when someone asks me the most because sometimes I have so many different books or so many different ideas. And also because since I really think that the Scrum Master is a path, I think that there is a book for the different stage. So when I started, I think the first book I remember I used and I read again and again was Agile Estimating and Planning by Mike Cohn. And I still sign up to the Mike Cohn newsletter, even though now I'm not working with teams anymore. But I'm still taking something from his experience. So it was really useful for me as a Scrum Master. I found in that book some concepts that helped me, such as the con of uncertainty, the effect of multitasking, the planning poker. So I found the book very useful when also I have to explain something to other people. So for example, I didn't remember how many times I used the con of uncertainty to explain why an estimation given by the team is not so accurate and cannot be accurate if you ask the estimation in the early stage. But then, obviously, after some months, some years, I started reading other books, like, for example, your book, Vasco, NoEstimates, that was really helpful to me, focusing more on asking the right question more than trying to be better at estimation. And now, the thing that I really like to study, to start to apply, it's more related to use historical data and doing forecasting. So no more estimation and use what we have as a repository, because we have a quite stable team that are working in almost same domain. So we can use historical data and do forecasting so that we can, I think we can move the risk from the team giving this estimation to product writing better user stories.
Absolutely. There's a book for each stage in our path as a Scrum Master. I think that was
Exactly.
a beautiful illustration of that idea too. So Stefania, now we turn our attention to the teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemy. So tell us a story of a team. Give us a little bit about the context, type of project, how big was the team, and then let's walk through the steps that led to the team developing that behavior or pattern that ultimately led to problems.
Yeah, so also here, many different thoughts. I think that the worst patterns for a self-destructing team is to be disengaged. So in my experience, that could be different reasons why a team can be disengaged. In this story, the cause maybe was the fact that we had a team leader. So the if the team has a team leader that is emerging from the team as an experienced person that can coach and support the team, it's wonderful. It's marvelous, amazing. In this case, the team lead was more someone that can manage the team and was in charge of taking a technical decision. So obviously this could and did actually lead to disengagement, because the other team member know that there is someone that can take care of technical decision and talking with stakeholders, understanding what are dependency. So why they should care at the end? They didn't feel the ownership of the decision they are taking. Another big problem I faced in another team was to not having space for mistake, for failure. So it depends on why, obviously. In this case, the problem was related to the environment, to the culture, because you have to, as a team, demonstrate your value. You have to show what are the things that you have done. You have to show that you were able to deliver a certain amount of feature and so on. In this context, in this environment, it's very difficult for the team to create this space of failure. You are not celebrating any failure, you are celebrating only the victory. And in this culture, obviously for the team is safer to stay in their comfort zone and to do what maybe the team leader asked them to do, or in some case what the Scrum Master asked them to do, that maybe it's worst.
Yeah, so both of these patterns have the crucial aspect is in the relationship of the team with their superiors. It could be a team leader, or it could be, just the company management. And it sounds to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this is kind of asking the question, what are the values that the stakeholders and managers and leaders of the team have as they relate to the team? Is that what you have in mind?
Yes, exactly. Because when I have the opportunity to work with stakeholders, team leaders, Scrum Master that were able to do this step back, to create the space, there is no problem about having the team moving into this space and taking responsibility. So my experience was how we can create this space and how this space can be correct for all, because there are people that are more extrovert, people that are more introvert. And also another interesting point to me is that sometimes I, as a Scrum Master, I judged the team as disengaged, but they weren't. They were only quiet, so quieter than me maybe. So it's very difficult to balance and create this space where also the quiet people can contribute. But you know that working with for at least in my experience, working with many developers, there are many people that are quiet people. So it's very important that we can balance the people that are more extrovert with people that are more introvert.
And actually, that's a very important aspect for us as Scrum Master. So, Stefania, what have you learned in your career and your experience that works at allowing the quieter team members to participate? As you said, create that space so that the team can step in and take ownership, to participate, to engage, to drive their own future. How do you do that?
So this is something that I'm really interested in, and one of the book related to book that really like it, I want to suggest, if I can, is the book by Susan Cain called Quiet, the Power of Introvert, or something like this, because this book was really helpful to me to understand and to also create this space. So usually what I do is to, when I facilitate a meeting, and understand if there is a space for the people that are more introvert. So that what I do, usually I create a space for reflect on your own, so some minutes on your own, then some minutes sharing with another person in pair, or maximum with 3 people, and then coming back in the bigger group, because the introvert or quiet people are not people that are not able to share idea. They are only people that are more comfortable sharing idea is smaller group. So if you have this big meeting, it's very useful to create space to reflect on your own, then smaller group, and then come back in the bigger group.
Absolutely. I'll put the link to a similar technique from Liberating Structure. I believe it's called 1, 2, 4, all. And I think that exactly what you said, that one of the key powers of that technique is that allows introverts and people that are less vocal to actively participate in the generation, the filtering, and the improvement of ideas.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know if in your experience is the same, but in my experience, the most exciting or crazy and useful idea come from the quiet people.
Exactly. So I've seen that happen in many different aspects, including like in actual work, in taking ownership and actually driving something to conclusion. I've seen that people that usually stand back, and because of them standing back, they are given the least interesting tasks. That is also one anti-pattern that often happens. And I've seen in one case in a team where we allowed an introvert not only to come up with the idea, but actually to take ownership and to drive it, and we were there to help him. He was able to turn around something that was a completely new idea, had a huge impact for the company, and he did that in 2 weeks because he felt empowered and he was engaged and really motivated to get it done.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing it, Vasco.
Thank you, Stefania. Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, but tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.